Okay, so there is a file on Blackboard if you want to download that. Plan for today is to give you about an hour to work through that and get as much of it done as you can. I would suggest in small groups if that's all right. I can either randomly split you into 2 or 3 groups, or you can tell me who you want to work with and I can whatever. So you can help each other for this part. Next week, not so much. Next week, you are to work independently. You can still use, whoops, that's way too much. You can still use the entire internet and whatever, YouTube, your textbook, our class videos, anything you like. What was I going to say? Oh, just not get help from anybody else for the test. The review is hard. I would suggest that you do everything you know how to do and then work through the rest and try and figure it out as a group, or at least using different resources. It's very good practice. The big challenge with the test is that it's mostly troubleshooting. So you're going to do something and then you're going to figure out if it's right or wrong. And if it's wrong, you're going to figure out why it's wrong. And of course, you know most of the time why things are wrong, right? It's the difference between relative and absolute values. So most of the time, if there's something wrong, something that needed to be absolute is not. Okay? Questions about that? For the test next week, you're to come to class for the first hour. Plan to stay for the first hour. You don't have to stay after that. If you wish, you can go. You have 24 hours to complete the test. But I would like you here for the first hour, partly so I know who's doing it. Because it matters, because you still have to follow, we still have to follow the test stuff. But also so that you get the benefit of any questions and answers or discussion that quite often happens in the first little bit while people look through it and make sure that they understand what's required. So I hate it when some people miss all that, okay? Because sometimes it's really valuable, other times it doesn't matter. But yeah, so show up for the first hour and then you can take it. Is 24 hours long enough? Or I guess we could do till Sunday after or Sunday evening on the weekend if you want more time. Next week's class. So this week is review, next week is the test. Okay? And it'll look a lot like this, only way easier. The review, if you can do the review, you can ace the test. So we're going to work for about an hour on the test in small groups, and then I am going to take it up with you. So we'll work through it. Okay? So random groups, or do you want do you have people you would rather work with? Sure. As long as Brittany doesn't mind. Sure. The rest of you are pretty much random. Okay, what I'm going to do is make a number of groups and I can move people around as requested. There's always a few people that just hate group work and leave as soon as I say. Hopefully they'll come back in an hour. All right. So I'm going to make it just 3 groups for right now, I think. Create assignments, and then I will move people around so that Brittany I'll add 1 session. So we're going to have there. And So if your session is fairly small, not to worry. As people come in, I will be adding, okay? Okay, fairly well balanced. All right, any questions before I send you on your way? Work together, solve, figure it out. You can do it. It's almost all VLOOKUPs. You can do that. Okay, I'm not hearing any questions. I'm not seeing anybody typing. Away you go. I'll be here if you have questions. Oh, who left? Christine left. Let's see if that messes up my group balance. Should probably come back, hopefully. Yeah, that's all right. 3, 4. Oh no, now we have one that's just 2. I'll move one more person. And remember, it's not very nice if you're talking and nobody's answering. So like, be nice, talk to each other. If someone's trying to get a conversation going, don't give them a hard time, please. All right, so at 10 after 10, I will be calling y'all back. Okay?
Miss, actually, I'm in a group with Emma and Tyler. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, but you can't hear me. There we go. Okay, what's up?
So I joined through my phone.
Okay, I'll move you to a group. Okay.
No, so I'm
We're
with
just
Emma and Tyler right now in the phone.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So can I join their group?
To put you back in there? Sure.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I got bumped there.
Yeah, just one sec. So they're in 3. Okay. And Christine, do you know what group you were in? I think, oh, the bottom one. I
I
have
got
one that,
yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, wait a minute. Who were you with?
I don't know who I was with. I got bumped out
Okay,
when
good.
putting everybody into groups.
Okay, I've got a couple more people coming in, so I'm just going to move you to session 4 for now. And I'll keep sending people until we get everything balanced. All right, Ishpreet and Abjot. We're doing a review exercise that you can download from Blackboard. It's hard. Don't worry, you're going to work in small groups, and then I'm going to take it up with everybody, okay? Can I just put you into groups? I'm trying to get them sort of balanced. Is that okay? Are you there? Hello? All right, so I'm not sure I'll post it. We'll see if it offers anything different than what the screencasts do. But I'll post it, or we'll record it anyway. So it was challenging for most people, not everybody, but somewhat challenging. But once you break it down, you will find that it's really not that hard. The only thing that keeps coming up is that VLOOKUP and a little bit of, there's the nested if there. Although if you're not comfortable with a nested if, you can do that as a VLOOKUP too. So I'm going to get a blank copy, one I haven't already done. There we go. Just because I've done too many, as I was recording yesterday, just the screencast for you. So we'll start with the easy one. I guess they're called carrot, the little hat on each of the labels. I'm going to turn the chair on. That will be a good idea. Yesterday I forgot until after the first part. All right, so share screen. And I believe my screen is set to be a little too small. So we're going to make it bigger. Okay, so you can see the carrot on the sheet names, right? Those are kind of an indication of difficulty. So the profit goal only has 1, race times has 2, gym membership 2, and then order stat 3, and puppies is 4. And everything kind of fits in there. Okay, so I'll take it up. If you need me to slow down, I will, but I'd like to make sure that we get through it all. So even if you don't get it all done, if you can hold off and finish later, like just skip over whatever it is you need to skip over so that we can keep going, if that's okay. All right, so this one is very, very straightforward. I'm going to show hide so you can see. I'm just making that bigger, and mostly it's because I don't need to see it, but I want to make sure that you know how to work with those. Okay, and as you can see, this was created by students. So, was the profit goal achieved? Yes or no? If it was, you put met, and if it wasn't, you put fail. So it's a simple F. So we can start with equals F. Open the bracket. I always bring up the function palette. You're not required to, but it sure makes life easier. Our logical test is if this is greater than or equal to the goal for profit, which is right there. And if that's true, we have met. And if it's false, we have fail. And yes, I know I did it wrong, but I want to make sure that we walk through the troubleshooting. And for that, I have to do some things wrong. Okay, so when I do that, it says everybody got it. Even though we can see, for example, that this September number isn't big enough. It shouldn't have. There's a fail there and a fail there. So we know that it didn't work correctly, right? I'm going to put this back out of my way just because I've got it blown up so big I can't quite see everything. There we go. So goal for profit. So when I double click here, you can see goal for profit right there. It's perfect. So that's giving me a correct answer. Down here, where I go down to one that's less than, when I double click, you can see that because it's a relative cell value, it's telling me, or not less than, greater than, but because it's greater than, it's always going to be greater than 0, right? So if we had that 5,000 all the way down, like that, then it would be right. But this looks like some newbie that doesn't know anything and that I certainly wouldn't hire, doesn't know what they're doing. So people do that all the time with taxes, with like HST. They'll put the HST all the way down. It looks ridiculous. So we don't want to do that. So another way that some people can solve it is they'll just go like this and they'll say, okay, well, I won't do G2. I'll just take the value from G2 and put it in there, right? And that will work until I go market and I say, okay, I'm going to make this 75. So that would get part marks, but it wouldn't get full marks. because you're supposed to use this value. Okay, so to get full marks, you need to use absolute values where you should use absolute values. So we can do that two ways. One is we can go back in here and replace our cell value, F4, to make it absolute. Uh-oh, that didn't work. G4, and then, or G2, F4 to make it absolute. There we go. And that will work just fine. Okay, I'm just going to do the conditional formatting so we can see. And we want if it text that contains fail. You don't have to spell the whole word, but I will. There we go. So, okay, that's one way. And the other way, of course, is select and formulas, create from selection, okay. And now when I go and do it, so I'm going to replace that cell reference. Now it goes absolutely there. And no matter what I change it to, it's going to work. Everybody meets it if it's 2,500. Okay. So in a test situation, you would get marks for, you would get part marks for a solution that works, but to get full mark, it has to work when I change this number. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're using those numbers. Now, sometimes, just because I'm mean, I'll just give you it like that. And I'll say, when this is greater than the goal for profit. And you can put the formula in, right? It doesn't matter if there's a number in, but if you're uncomfortable with it being empty, just put a number in to test. Okay? Change the number, make sure it works. That's how you figure out if there's something wrong down at the bottom. So if we double click here, you can see it's going there. But change the number, make sure it works. Questions about that one? Is everybody okay? Pretty straightforward, right? All right. Race times. Somehow I seem to have lost the questions, but hopefully you figured it out. That the only questions is what standards. Yeah, okay, just a sec. So going back here and doing the conditional formatting, the only trick to conditional formatting is it goes anywhere that it could happen. So on the home tab, conditional formatting, and I just used text that contains, you could also use equal to, but now I'll do MET and change it to a different color. Let's go with green. There. Okay. All right. So back to race times. Race times, what standards will the racers achieve? And we know that for a 5-minute race, we want to use the 5-minute times. I'm going to create my table, and this is going to be for the 5-minute table. I could use absolute, you know that every table has to be absolute, right? So we always do absolute. So I'm just going to give it a name. And that would be standard 5, because this is for the 5-minute test, or the 5-minute one. Okay, so I'm going to do equals Vlookup. Bring up the function palette. What am I looking up? Whatever's in the first column is always what I'm looking up. So I'm looking up their time for the 5-minute race. Where am I looking it up? I'm going to look it up in the table, which is called Standard 5. I could have just typed it. This one is almost always 2, but in this particular case, the column index number is not 2. It's 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put number 3 in there. Hit OK and bring that down. And there's a problem. The person who actually won, who ran the fastest race, isn't getting anything, right? So this person should be winning, but they're not. And that's because these 3 things are in the wrong place. So I'm going to move them up. And now I have the one that's at 5, who's getting a big fat nothing. And that's because there's nothing in this cell. So we can leave it. This is now correct, but let's give them something. We'll give them a participation ribbon. So whatever I put in there is going to work. Okay. If you like, you could do conditional formatting here as well. I would probably do a 3 traffic lights or flags or whatever. Oh, I have to do it. Duh, I have to do it here. So I will do that again. You can do it on the text, but I would have to spend too much time doing it. So you can see that it's done not what I want. It's doing 3, like these are bronze, but it's breaking so that all the silver and gold are in that area. So I would actually have to go in and adjust my icon set, which you can figure out even if you are not sure how to do it. If you go to icon set, more rules, that will let you change it. So we don't want it to be %. We're going to have this be a number, and we're going to have this be a number. And it's going to be, if it is, let's see. So if it's anything less than 4, no, I just want to type 4. And this one will be greater than or equal to 5, I think. No. Okay, so it shouldn't. Let's see. Maybe I've got them backwards. Ugh. There we go. All right, so we have 1 gold, some silver, and I'd have to split that still. But it can be done, is the point. All right, times for an 8-minute race is basically the same thing, except we have to use a different table. When you are using a Vlookup table, the thing that you're looking up, which is our times, has to be the first column in your table. So the only trick we need here is to name another table, and this one is going to be standard 8. Remember, when you're doing these, no spaces. You can't start with a number. It has to start with a letter. And when you're done, you hit enter. That's how you know it's when you stop. So this will take a whopping 30 seconds maybe. Equals Vlookup. And this one is absolutely normal. We're looking up the time in the table, and column array is 2, just like almost every other one. And we hit OK. And we won't need to fuss at all with that. Okay. Now, if you want to use the same conditional format here, you can use Format Painter and apply it. We would probably change it, but let's not. All right, gym membership. Also, oh, any questions on this one before I move on?
Yes, could we have used nested ifs instead?
Of course. Yes, you could.
I have one
you're
other
more
question,
comfortable.
only because the nested ifs in my Excel, I have the option to do IFS, which is just the nested ifs, but the function bar lets you just keep going and going. Are we allowed to use that?
Of course. They've actually changed a bunch of things. There's those, and there's also now, instead of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, they also have an XLOOKUP, which is kind of cool. I want to play with it. I watched a video, but I haven't played yet. So yeah, as long as it works, you're good. Okay. Gym memberships. Easy peasy. Again, you can do VLOOKUP or a nested if. Let's do both just to see. So I'm going to do VLOOKUP first, and I know that my table has to be absolute, so I may as well give it a name. Okay, equals VLOOKUP first. VLOOKUP is usually easier just because it's only 3 arguments. Anything complicated that has more than 3 arguments is easier to do the VLOOKUP. There we go. Okay. Now to do that as a nested if, it would be equals if, open bracket. So if logical test is if the amount paid equals, I'm going to use here, but you could just type it in. Okay, if that's true, then they are silver. If it's false, we have another if, open a bracket, and move in there. And logical test is if this is equal to that one, then we use this one. Oops, that's not right. So value if true is gold, absolutely. And value if false is platinum, absolutely. And it'll say I have an error. And yes. So there's lots of VLOOKUPs throughout Perva. You'll see lots more. Okay. Now I want to try the if equals ifs. Let's try it. So equals, you said IIF? No, IFS. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Logical test is if this is equal to 99. If that's true, we want this one. And then we can do logical test again. Same if this is equal to this, absolutely. Value of true. This is much easier, isn't it? Value of true is gold, absolutely. And logical test again, if that is equal to that, absolutely. And this is the thing that sometimes trips people up. You can scroll, and there's a couple places that matters a lot. I only want to go down a little bit. There we go. Value if true, platinum. Absolutely. And we're done. So it just puts everything in just a little bit different. That's excellent. I like it. I wonder if probably not. The simulations probably won't find it. Okay, so moving on. Monthly payment. If the member wants to pay monthly, so we're talking about a year, right? If the member wants to pay monthly, how much would they need to pay? And we know that there's some interest if they're paying monthly, but I didn't give you an amount. So you put in whatever amount you think is reasonable for interest. And we can always make it higher or lower, and it will change. So the monthly payment function equals MPMT, open a bracket, bring up the function palette. The rate is going to be the interest divided by, anybody? What am I dividing the interest? Thank you. 12. That's right. The number of periods is just going to be 12. Normally it would be the number of years times 12, but we only have 1 year, so we're just going to put 12. Present value of the loan is the amount that they need to pay. And then we hit OK, and that will be, oh, I put the negative in there without mentioning it, I bet. Half a sec. So when I did it without even thinking, I put the negative in there to turn it to a positive. So if you do it and you get a negative number, you just go in and put a minus sign someplace, either before PMT or before C5 in the end there. And I'm going to bring this down. And is this correct? Anybody? It is not. It's absolutely not correct. Good catch, Emma. We can see that it's not correct because Sarah, her monthly payment is going to be 34, but Brianna, who's also got the same membership, so it's $99, is $825. So something is wrong. You discover what's wrong. First of all, you have to notice it, but then you double click here and you can see it's pointing there. And when I double click here, you can see it's pointing here. We want to make that point there, right? So again, we have to make it absolute. I would just use formulas name that thing, but I can't get to mine. So I'm going to, oh, there we go. So now I can. Formulas, create from selection, okay. And change this to use that or rate. There you go. Or I could have just typed it. Hit OK and bring that down. And there you go. Now you can check on any of them and make sure. Even if they all look right, it's a good idea to check at least one down somewhere. All I'm doing to check is double click. I think we need to keep moving, Purva, but the video will be available for you. Okay. So all we did here is name the value and then do the function. So the PMT function. We're going to skip puppies for now. We'll do that after. Now let's do the advanced filter in order of difficulty. So advanced filter Here's our instructions. Show hide note. So it wants us to run an advanced filter, which shows only the small business segment. So we know that we need small business. Customers in the Atlantic region. And discount price is less than 1,000. So we want less than 1,000. Okay. But we don't actually have prices yet. I somehow have the prices in there. What happened? I guess I didn't give you did I give it to you with it all done? If you got a negative, just put a minus sign in front. I hope I didn't give it to you with prices done. All this. Okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I bet I did. Because I downloaded this clean from Blackboard. I gave it to you with it all done, didn't I? I've done that on a test before. It's a really bad thing. All right, so we're supposed to calculate these. Or wait a minute, I know why they were there, because we do it on there. Never mind. So we can put those back. All right, that's why that was confusing me. Okay, so this is the kind of thing I do on a test, but I would actually make it, what I've done is just paste the values. And that is so that if you weren't able to calculate here, you aren't going to lose all the marks for another page. That's what that's about, just so you know. Okay, so we have our things in there. You can see that there is an output range over here. So you can put your output over there, or you can filter in place because it really doesn't say. So I would probably just go with the filter in place. But if it says that you have to put it to the output range, then you have to look for the output range. It will be labeled. It's not, I'm not trying to make you fail. It'll be labeled. The database list is labeled. The criteria range is labeled. There are a lot of rows in this database. So it makes a lot of sense to name the database before you start. So Control A will select just the database. Okay, I'm going to name it DB for database list. And I'm going to press enter. It won't work this way. So when I did that, it took database list. When you're working with these advanced filters, your first thing has to be the labels, because that's what the function uses, is the labels. So two ways to deal with that. One is delete database list and don't include it. Okay, or put an empty row in between, and you can even make it empty, and after you're done you can hide it or remove it. The other way is to go into the name manager and go to the one that you just made, so database list, and fix it right here. So I'm just going to change that 5 to a 6. Okay. And do I want to save? Yes. So now my database list, you can see, doesn't include this. I try to make sure that there's no tricks like that in the test. But in this one, it actually caught me yesterday. I had no clue why my database things weren't working. So, data, advanced filter, copy to another location, just so I can show you how to do that. So I want to make sure this is my list. and my criteria range is correct. It is. And my output ranges always include only the labels. And then I'm going to, what isn't valid? Oh, this one isn't. Okay, let's try it again. Delete. There we go. Hopefully. There we go. So the ones over here that it's showing me are all going to be supposed to be all of the Atlantic region. Trying to move over. Atlantic region, all small business, and all under $1,000. Now notice that when I take these things out, that list, the results doesn't change, right? So all of those things stay the same. So that's why when I give you instructions for the test, I will always tell you to do that last, okay? After you do these and test it thoroughly. And this part, get up there. We need database functions. See how it's in capital letters? If you just do total, average, count, min, max, whatever, you're going to get 0. How do you copy what, Tyler? I don't understand what you're asking. How do we make it go over here? The stuff? Okay, I'll show you that again after we do this part. We'll do it again. Okay, so total is going to be dsum. So equals dsum, not sum. They have to start with database. They have to have a criteria in them. Otherwise, they are a 0. So DB list here, the field, we need to know what number the field is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My mouse is bunging up, but 13. 13 is the field that has the after discount value in it. And the criteria is the exact same criteria row that we had for the other part. So I hit OK, and I have a number, which I can't read because it doesn't have commas in it. I need commas. There we go. $9,577 or $577,910.51. If I change, let's go with province. In BC, 1 million. Newfoundland, less than 1 million. Ontario, more than 1 million, right? So as these change, obviously these aren't set properly. They used to. What I like to do is have, when you choose the province, the regions will change to only that one, but that's a little bit clunky that you don't need to know how to do. But whatever I select here, you can see that the number is changing. All of these numbers have to change whenever the details change in the criteria section. Now, I could go through and do the same thing over and over, like just type equals D average, DB list, 13, and criteria, select it again. That seems like too much work to me. I instead go like this and just change dsum, because all of the database functions use the same arguments. You can't do that if they use all different arguments, but they don't. They just want to know those few things. Where's the database? What field do you want to see? And where's the criteria? Copy, and I can paste it here. Or I could have done it again, but dsum is really easy to change to dmin. And then I can pull that down and do dmax. Okay. And we can check our work by deleting things or adding things and making sure it works. So the minimum is 0, the max. And if I change to a different product category, so just office supplies, there. And you can actually, if you wish, combine this with what you know about, oops, not that, I want data. Data. You can have this filtered, so I can say, I only want to see office supplies. Hit OK. And then you can total just what's here. All the way down to, yeah, whatever. 5,000. Do you know why I use a large data set? It's so that you can't sit there and skip using absolute values because, oh well, I'm going to leave it like that. So the value here should then equal the value that is showing at the top there. All the way back up. I'm just going to go this way because it's faster. M1. There. I'm back at the top. Okay, so let's go see. Oh, we got to have the same product category. What did I do? Office supplies. There we go. Office supplies. And then the numbers should match. 2,575,000. That was it. Okay. So this is all good. Last thing we're going to do is run the final filter again. So we want to go back and make sure so that I can see that you knew how to do it. So we're going to put in region is Atlantic. Customer segment is small business. And after discount is going to be less than 1, 2, 3. And then we go to the advanced filter. And because we've done this already, you only have to do copy to another place. I will know if you ran the advanced filter, even if it didn't work, because I'll see what you have in here. When you first start, there's nothing in there until you've tried it. So I will know if you didn't even try it because it just won't show any references there. Okay. Let's go do these. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have a pivot table here too? Is that on this one or the other one? No, that's on the other one. So this one is all done. No reason why anybody should ever lose marks on that one. But for some reason, those tend to be the hardest things. All right, now we're going to do the math. Use the Vlookup to look up the unit price in the price list. And if you notice, we actually have a price list. It's already made. There it is. And if you look in your price list, you can see that some of the names have words, text, or whatever. Anytime we're looking up something with text, you want to put false. And for the test, if you need to put false, I will tell you, because I'm just so nice like that. Okay, so if false has to be there. Yes, Esma, for test, you come for the first hour, and then you have 24 hours to complete it, but I want you to come for the first hour. All right, unit price equals VLOOKUP again. This one you cannot use a nested if because it would go on forever and ever and ever. Although it does look like you could use the other one, but why would you when you can do this with only 3 arguments? So there, price list. We're returning column 2. It only had 2 and false. And hit OK, and we have a price. Easy. Isn't that easy? Order price. It tells you right there. Order quantity times unit price. You really shouldn't need to be told that. It's so straightforward. But I tell you anyway. In there times unit price. So that's just how much they're going to pay. And then we want the discount. And this one, for some reason, the whole thing isn't showing. So the instruction here, show hide note. Let's move it down here, see if we can get it to show. So if the order price is less than, it's a VLOOKUP. I'll do it for you after, Perva. I can do it for you again after. If order price is less than 1,000, there's no discount. If it's between 1,000 and 2,500, give 1% discount between. So we can do this, and it's kind of written as a nested if. You could use that ifs thing, the ifs function, but I'm going to walk you through doing it as a nested if. Oh, I did this the other day too. That's got to go up to the top and down to the bottom. So the unit price was a VLOOKUP. Here, I'll put it up for 1 sec so you can see, Perva. It's just look up the item in price list, return column 2. Okay, discount. If order price is less than 1,000, no discount. So equals if, open a bracket. If this is less than $1,000, if that's true, discount is 0. If it's false, we do another if. So if, open a bracket, click in there. If the order price is less than 2,500, then our discount is going to be 1%. So you can either do 1% or you can do 0.01 because see what it does? If you put in 1 in the percent, it changes it to what it wants. Value if false, if, open a bracket, where was I? So now it's under 5,000. So if the order price is less than 5, one more. Oh, no, what am I doing? Oh, I'm just doing it without moving along here. I'll move along for you. I was just going to type it all, which is actually how every textbook I've ever used, learned with, or taught has always told me how to do it. So logical test is if order price is less than, where was I? 5,000. Value if true is going to be 2.5%. Value if false is going to be if. Moving along. Logical test is if order price is less than 10,000. That right? No, one more. There we go. If that's true, the discount is going to be 5%. And if it's false, it's going to be 7.5. And that's where a lot of people tend to get mucked up, is the last one just has those two. Hit OK. Fix the typos. Now, what we have here is not what we're asked for. So the discount, it says we need to know the actual amount of the discount, not which discount to apply. Okay. I'm going to double click to put it all down. You can see that this is, it's correct. It's giving the discount, but you also have to multiply that by the order price. And it'll still be 0 here, but when I double click, now we have actual amounts of discounts. Home, comma, style, just because I like it better. Okay. After discount is straightforward, equals this minus any discount. There you go. Now we want to apply a gradient color scale. So you can select the whole thing, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and go to either color scales or data bars, whichever one you like. Gradient, the color bars or color scales make it darker the more there is, and the data bars fill more of the cell. So whatever you like is fine. Okay. The discount formula is just a VLOOKUP. Oh, right now it's just an if. There's two other ways you can do that. Excuse me. You could do equals ifs and have that come up, or you can make it into a VLOOKUP. Let's do the VLOOKUP option. Oh, undo, put that back. So to make it as a VLOOKUP, we would have to put the amounts with the breaks here. So 1,000, 2,500. You always start from the lowest to the highest and always a solid break point. Okay, so those are the amounts. If it's below 10,000, it's 0. Or below 1,000, I mean. That's 1%. And I'm just going to put 1%, 2.5%, 5%, and what's this? 7.5. And that's the discount
test,
for anything
oh,
over 10. Sorry.
In the test, will we be allowed to like add information to the sheets as well? Like if we want to do VLOOKUP, we're allowed to add this in?
Yes. You can add in, I'm going to show you on the Puppies one, but you can break it all down and add whatever. There, I'm just making some space. Because the Puppies, to do it, like it can be done as a big old nested, but some people won't want to. All right, so this one I'm going to name, and this is discounts. So to do it as a VLOOKUP, it would be equals VLOOKUP, obviously. Open a bracket, and we're looking up it's based on what the order price is. So that's what we're looking up. We're looking in this table. Oops. Gotta move. Order price. There we go. And column index number is 2 because that's what we have. Okay, so that's going to bring back, again, same thing. It's going to bring back the amount of the discount. And then we still have to multiply it by the unit price. So there we go. Wait a minute, something's wrong. Did I do by, oh, I did by unit price instead of, that's why. It should be K2, that's it. Because they should be the same. If they're not the same, something is wrong, right? When I first started to do things like VLOOKUPs, I was nowhere, like I wouldn't be able to do this right off the hop, right from the start. I would often have things like where this would be off somehow, and then I would have to move it until I got it just right. But as long as you remember that VLOOKUP tables always start at 0 and always just have a solid number. It's a breakpoint. You can't put in 0 to 100. It won't read it. You can only put in 1,000 or 2,500. Okay? And of course, you could use that if statement again. However you do it is fine, as long as it's absolute. And I actually prefer this one because then I can change the percentages. I can say, okay, I'm going to give 1.25 for this, and I'm going to give, I'm lowering that. So I can raise or lower, do what I want. So this works better in the long term. And when you're designing, you're always designing for the long term. All right, next up, create a pivot table to show the average after discount price by product category, and then we're going to have slicers for region and customer segment. Click anywhere in your table. You can do Control A if you want to make sure that it gets the right stuff. And then we're going to do Insert, Pivot Table. Table arrange, it's going to be correct. Say OK. Well, why not? Did I click something else? All right, I don't know why it's not. So we'll do, why isn't it? Okay, let's see. All right, we'll try it with just that. It was valid the other day. Oh, I know why. I know why. This doesn't have a label. Discount 2. Pivot tables don't work if they don't have labels. There we go. Databases, everything has to have a label also. Okay, pivot table. We need to show the average of the after discount price. So we know we're going to need after discount. Tick the box. There we go. It says sum of after discount. We know that we're going to want it to say average. So we can go to value field settings and change it to average. If we don't happen to like the name of average of after discount, we can change it in there. Did you see that? Value field settings. We could just put average order price total, whatever it is you want. Okay, so we have the average price. Now we want to have it organized by product category. And there you go. These are ugly, ugly, ugly numbers. So we're going to apply comma style. And that really is all you need for this pivot table. except we also want slicers. So on pivot table analyze, insert a slicer for, I forget what they said. Was it customer segment and region, I think, or maybe province, whichever. Does someone want to tell me what it said? No? Okay, we'll go with province. So what these do, remember, is just give us a way to filter, basically. So if the person looking at this wants to see just Ontario, they can see just Ontario. You can use the combination of pivot tables and slicers and all of this fun stuff. This would be the start of a dashboard. And a dashboard is just one page that shows lots and lots of information in the thing, in the overall. So if we had charts, we could have a chart. We can make a chart of something from a completely unrelated page and put it on here. So let's do a real quick insert pie chart. Oh, I didn't select any data. Duh. Just a minute. Let's go to gym membership. And nope, we can't do that. I want to do equals count if I'm going to count this range, absolutely, comma. I just want to know how many of each of these there are, because then I can do that as a pie chart. All right, so make a pie chart and move it. Remember how to move them. And I want to move it to an object in sheet 1, because that's going to be my dashboard. And now you can make it all look pretty, even though it's totally unrelated. You would have your name. So this is the kind of thing that you organize and you make it lead to everything. So you can have all kinds of stuff. But of course, you would always have to give them a name. So these are memberships. Okay, that's what a dashboard is. That's covering it off because it was in the, it's one of the learning outcomes for the course. All right, where was I? Oh, we're on to puppies. Let's do puppies. So in this one, we want to know if the puppy has been placed or not, right? This is a really good example of a nested function, of nesting all the functions. But if you don't know how to nest all the functions, you don't have to. So I'm going to do it both ways. So first I'm going to do it nested, and this nesting them is pretty advanced. So we have if the thing is, if the puppies are, let's open the note. Show the note. If the pet has not yet been placed. So it's easier actually, at least for my little brain, it's easier for me if I say if the pet has been placed, then I'm going to put placed. That's the first part of the whole function, right? So equals if, open a bracket, if this equals yes. And remember, when you're working in a logical test, if you have text in a logical test like this, you always have to put the quotes around it. Any place else, it will do it for you. But in the condition statement, you have to include the quotes. The value, if that's true, is just placed. If it's false, then we need to do a Vlookup, and we're going to know by the number of days which one of these statuses apply. So the value with false is a VLOOKUP, open a bracket, move to that, and my VLOOKUP, what am I looking up? How many days have they been there? And we don't know. We know the date they came, and we know today's date, but to find out how many days they've been there, we have to use the days function. So I'm going to do days, open a bracket, click in there so that I know what I need for days, right? I need an end date and a start date. So the end date is today. We want to have something that's always right because that's what we're always shooting for in Excel. And how do I get today? I use another function. So we're nesting the today function inside the VLOOKUP, inside the days function, inside the VLOOKUP, which is inside the if. This kind of thing will not be on the test, but there's no reason you couldn't do it. Absolutely no reason that you could not do it. You are perfectly capable if you believe. I have no doubt. All right, so I have the days now. I go back to my VLOOKUP. Now I know how many days. Where am I looking it up? I'm looking it up in my little box here. And I forgot to name it, so I'm just going to F4. And I'm only bringing back, there's only 2, so I'm bringing back 2 columns. And then I can go like this. And yes, you may fix my brackets. And there we go. And we can look and see. So this one just got here this week and it's a newbie. Most of the others are squatters. They're staying for too long. Okay. Last little bit for this is the Countif function. And this one you really have to pay attention to your results or it ends up being wrong. So equals Countif, open a bracket. Our range is this. Okay. The criteria is this. So if we want to know how many newbies, how many short stay, how many stickers, and okay, and I can fill that down. And you can see that once again, I have the wrong results. How do I know I have the wrong results? There's only 3, and I have 6 dogs. So one of them is because I don't have placed here as an option. So that one makes sense, right? I can bring that down and maybe I'll have another one. Yep, I'll have placed, but I'm still missing 2 dogs. So I want to click on squatter and see what's happening. My range is moving down. So once again, same problem as every place else pretty much. When we run into a problem, it's almost always the difference between absolute and relative. I need my range to be an absolute value. I could F4 it, or I can use formulas, move. I do not know how to make that thing move out of my way when I want it. All right. I want to name my range, please. You can name that just the same as we do. Oh, there we go. So formulas, create from selection. The difference now is the label for it is in the top row, and it knows that because we didn't give it anything else. So at top row, just hit OK. And now I can change this to my range. And it will stay where it belongs. And I will have 6. Okay. That's the kind of thing you really have to pay attention to. All right. If you are not comfortable doing a nested if like, or a nested function like this, you don't have to do all of it like that. You can figure out the days. So insert what you need and do days. If you don't want to nest today into the days, you can put your date up here. Today, oh, we need an equal sign. Equals today, open bracket, close bracket. Whether you leave it so you can see it or not, if you're going to leave it so you can see, you can put today. Or if you don't want it so you can see it, very simple to just do, I do this all the time, just do that. Come on. Fill your text with white. If it's white font, you can't see white on white, right? So you can just fill it and hide it that way, or of course you can hide it by hiding the row. Why is this taking so long? All I asked you to do was make one cell white. Come on, computer. I need a hammer so that I can kick it. There we go. So now you can't see it, but it's still there when you want it. Okay? You don't have to do that kind of thing. You can just do it the way you want, but we want to know, so we're going to use days. End date is this, absolutely. Start date is this, and it's going to show us a very big number, which looks like, oh, I think I used the wrong cell reference. It's supposed to be, nope, it should be C3. There we go. 78 days, that's much better. That's how long each dog has been there. Okay. If this was empty, then you're going to get a very large number, but the formula is still going to be correct. It just needs the date. Oops, what did I do? Ah, I didn't put equal in there. Equal. There we go. Okay. Now we would put in, well, we would be replacing this, but now we could do the number of days in our thing without those two extra. You still have to have if and the Vlookup, but that's much easier. Okay. If you're putting in extra rows, I often hide them just because people don't need to see them. That's the only reason, is just to make it make sense to people. It really doesn't matter if you need to break things down. So for example, if you had a question where you were asked to calculate somebody's regular pay and their overtime pay, you could calculate that all in one go, or to make it easier to follow, you could break it down. And now I'm doing their regular pay, and now I'm doing their overtime pay. You could even break it down to how many hours of this kind of pay should I be giving them, and how many hours of overtime should I be giving them. You can break it all down into so many fields, and it doesn't matter. And then you can hide them. They're gone. It doesn't matter. Okay. The one thing we haven't covered that I should have, or that we should have last week, I just want to cover really quickly. On a page like this, okay, on a worksheet like this, for example, what would we want to allow people to change? So if somebody's going to be doing something here, what is it? I'm gonna fill this down. Uh-oh, we don't want all that. We don't want those. We just want spaces for more dogs. Okay, so where would people be allowed to change? Can they add a new dog? Yes. Can they put in the date that that comes? Yes, or it's actually pretty easy to say if this changes, put the date in, but you don't have to know that. And we want to be able to say, oh, Queenie found a home, right? So we'll allow that to change. But what we don't want is for people to be able to get rid of these, right? Because they're calculated, or these because they're calculated. So these should change as the dates change. So when they first come, they're not a squatter already. We don't want to let people touch those. So what you're looking for when you're working with most forms is these are the places that they would be allowed to touch. It's often helpful to make them look different. So, oh, that's a nasty color. There, that's better. Okay, so the things they can touch, you make a different color so they can see the difference. Either way, it could be this is this and this is that. But these are inputs and those are outputs. Inputs they can muck around with, outputs they shouldn't. If you're giving it to someone that doesn't know anything about Excel, other than that you're going to ask them to use it, we don't want them messing with our stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go into here, the format cells, and on the protection, by default, every cell on a worksheet is locked. By default, because otherwise we would have to go and unlock all of the empty cells and stuff, or lock all of the empty cells and stuff that aren't used. So by default, everything is locked, but we want these to be unlocked. We hit OK. And now nothing changes. Everything is still the same. But if we go to review, we can protect the sheet. So protecting the sheet, you can use a password if you like, but don't if you're handing something into me, because that aggravates the heck out of me. But you can add a password. You can also be very, very particular about what you want to lock or what you want them to allow them to do. So you might allow them to use pivot table and pivot charts, but you don't want to let them edit objects, or you might want them to be allowed to do hyperlinks, but not other things. They can change this, but not that. You can be very, very picky. By default, they have these two clicks, so they're allowed to select the locked cells and select unlocked cells. We want them to be able to select unlocked cells, but if you don't want them to see your formulas or whatever, you can take that off. So they can't click in your locked cells and then they can't see. So I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see, uh-oh, did I do it backwards? No. Okay, I did not. I thought for a minute I did. Okay, I can type in these. I should be able to select them and I can't. Why is it? Okay, but I cannot type here. If I try to type there, it's just not going to let me. And I also can't see what's going on there. Yes. Oh no, you can use it. You can use absolutely everything we have and anything the internet provides you. That was a good question. Okay. And for the grade book, you can lock it. Absolutely, but don't put a password on. Okay? Don't put a password, especially for the test. All right, so that's that. I think when I'm going to unprotect the sheet for a minute and go back in, because I want to be able to, let's see. So I'm supposed to be able to select all of it. I'll put it back on. Now they're going together. This is weird. Okay, so now I can select. See, I should be able to select these, but not those. And it's not separating them, but oh well, I'll deal. Okay, so if you are good to go, you are great. We're at the end of the class anyway. Everything you could possibly want will be posted. In fact, the videos, I've already got videos of most of this stuff. So most of the videos will be posted like right now. I'll just copy them over from the other class to yours. And those are cut up into little bits. I'm going to unshare here. So the screencasts are cut up into little bits to make it easier. So you can just go look at the one that you want. I would like you to complete as much of the review as you can and submit it before the start of next class. I often will post a annotated version of the review workbook. So just to remind you what we did, or there'll be notes in it about comments. Remember to check this. And yes, you can use today's video and you can use the screencasts that will be up. Today's video won't go up until later tonight because I have appointments that I have to do. And it usually takes an hour or two before the video comes. So in current week, Christine, there will be all of the screencasts, and later today I'll add the video of the class, like of taking it up. Okay, so do what you can. Remember that next week for the test will be easier than this, and you can take the weekend. So you show up for an hour at least, and then after that you have basically, you can have the weekend to get it handed in. Okay. And that's it. We're good.
Ma'am, I want to ask you that whatever changes so we do in the
Sorry?
Excel, we have to whatever the changes except this, we have to do that also. Like pivot table, we have to add.
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, I am talking about the review assignment that you add the pivot table. So we have to
Which
add that.
in here?
Yeah, pivot table.
I'm not sure which one you mean.
Means
The
I'm
pivot
talking.
table, yes.
Yes.
You don't
Yes,
have
we
to
have
do a
to.
whole dashboard, but you need the pivot table.
Okay. And
It
on
says
the CC Barry, so what we have to do in
for
CC
which?
yearly to, yeah, in the review
Oh, I
assignment
forgot that one. Okay, I'll add that one. That one, I can do it right now.
from
I
CC
may as
Barry
well.
to
Yeah,
data
I'm gonna do it.
from.
I forgot that one. Let me do it, and it'll be part of the recording for those that missed, because I forgot it. So I'm just going to share it. Thank you for reminding me about that one. So that one is just like we did in, I believe it's chapter 4, where we worked with multiple worksheets. And if you look, you can see that Aurelia, Innisfil, Oro, and yearly totals don't have information on them. So what we're doing is, first of all, we're using fill series to copy column A and rows 1 and 2 to the other sheets. So I'm holding shift and I'm going to select all of those. So they're now grouped, and then I can hold those and I can do control and do those. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do 2 separate. And then I am going on the home tab to fill across worksheets all, because I want both the contents and the formulas or formats, and hit OK. Okay, so it's saying I can't do all at once. So I have to just do again this way. fill across worksheets and do the top 2 rows. And then I can do this part separately, right? When something doesn't work, it's not worth getting worried about. You just find another way. Try something else. Okay, so now those are on all of them. And what we need to do, if you go back here, the instructions are there. Add totals for each month in row 11 of each worksheet and for each department in column E. So while they're all still grouped, I can do this for totals, Autosum, and I'm going to add the cell style total. And then I'm doing this, also Autosum, and I'm just going to add total and the word total here as well. I'm going to format. No, don't do that. I'm going to click on something that's the format I want, and then I can paint it. Oh, that one's already done. Perfect. And I think I'll go like this too. And because they're all selected, all of them now have those formulas and the formatting. Right?
Okay, so yeah, clearly yearly total is blank.
Yeah, and then we're going to go to we're going to ungroup. And then we're going to, on the yearly totals, we want to add everything up. So equals sum, open a bracket. I click on Barry and click on the first number. And then I press Shift and I click over to Oral and enter. And that gives me the total of Barry and Aurelia and Innisfil and Oro.
Okay.
And that's basically all I have to do because I can just click and drag and it will fill. As long as everything's the same, it will fill. Now, the formatting here is horrible. It doesn't look good at all. So I need to change the formatting. And I may as well do it all in one go, because I don't want to do it more than once. So I'm going to do this. And total on the column, I'm going to make bold. I would not ever apply total style because it looks dumb when it's applied to the there. So you don't want that underline thing. Just bold is fine. And while I'm looking at it, I'm just going to indent a little bit. There we go. Okay. I think that was all.
So ma'am, how you
Calculate
copy this to the another data? From where?
what?
You
What is
copy
it you
all
need?
these circle cities, sporting groups and department January and everything that you copy from Barry to yearly total. So
Oh,
have
I
you?
did the. Okay, so if you select them all, they're all grouped, right? So
Yes.
then you just do, so you can select this, fill across worksheets.
Okay.
That's how it goes from one to the other. And fill across worksheets.
Okay.
That's all. Oh,
Yeah.
these are still a mess. I'm going to select all of these and make them all comma style. Because clearly I missed some. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Now I
Thank you for
understand.
catching that. I'll make sure it's in the updated. And I think I
And
need to,
also the data for list and lookup is missing.
there's nothing on there that you have to do.
Okay.
That's where the data is for the price list and for the other things.
Okay.
So like when I do, where is it? Advanced filter, these, the lists, those come from that page.
Okay.
So there's nothing you have to do here.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I did 3 trainings and I did one assignment sort of thing, which was like going to the grade. I did like half and then I didn't understand the rest. And like today at 11:56 p.m., there is another assignment due, and I will do that today. And there are
Okay,
like,
that was a one that was due before that I just extended for a bit, but you can still do it.
yeah. And I was just wondering, like, what all can I do to pass this course?
Do the review and the tests, plural. Are you working on the group one too?
Yeah,
Because we haven't had very much yet in terms of marks.
yeah,
Most of the marks are in the Excel test, so that's 35%.
okay.
And then the last part is, I believe it's 25, so that's more than half the marks.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably fine. But if you haven't yet done the PowerPoint,
Yeah.
the grader project from PowerPoint, you can do that.
Okay,
The
just one second.
Excel
Let
stuff,
me write this all down.
sorry?
Let me write this all down.
Okay.
Okay, what was it?
The PowerPoint grader project. I'll make it sure it's there. I'll actually mention it to people that if they want to do it, they can.
PowerPoint
So
Grader
everybody-
project.
It's the capstone grader project in
Okay.
MindTap. I will
Okay.
make it visible for you. It'll be on
And
the calendar.
okay, and then?
Do that and this review and make sure that you hand in your group project and show up next week to do the test.
Group project is the one that we did today, right?
You've got a group to work with and you're creating a calculator to figure out weighted grades.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
And some people have handed it in already and they've been excellent this year.
Okay.
This is the best ever that they've started. Usually they start really bad.
So if I do all these, I'm kind of good, right?
Oh yeah, you'll be fine.
Oh, thank you so much. I was really worried.
Yeah, no, it's just because most of the marks are later.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
I did have a quick question about the gradebook test. Did you want us to do it like I have it set up right now for multiple classes, like as if it was like a full semester? Do you want it like that, or did you want like just one class?